Hello, everyone. It's Anthony and Tucker with Land Title, and we came to bring you your lender market update for Boulder County.
Yep, we're going to be covering the month of September and really just kind of looking off the top. We can see our active inventory, that green line is starting to dip a little bit. That's a couple different reasons. One, it's some solds, but it's mostly because people are pulling things off the market right now. We're also entering that fall season where there's just less new inventory coming on the market. So that's the green line. What's going on with the rest, Anthony?
Okay, so I think the big thing here is when you look at the market collectively, under contracts have really started to come up because buyers are re-entering the marketplace. I'm sure you're feeling it, right? You're feeling it with all those people coming out of the woodwork that interest rates are lower because the Fed said something, even though they're not really correlated as well as we would all like. But the good news is with more under contracts means some of that inventory coming off the market could be due to pendings and solds, and some of it is also because people are actually pulling it off the market about 2 months ahead of time for that seasonal slowdown. So let's take a look detached versus attached because they have very little similarities right now.
Yeah, and what we're really seeing is here in the detached, we have a lot more A on the market. There's a larger inventory stock here in Boulder County of detached. We also see a lot more of it on the market. And we're up year over year in what we have on the market, only by 8%. So it's not a massive increase compared to last year and how much we have on the market, but it feels like it just because things are sitting a little bit longer and we have inventory, especially in our two most populous areas, Boulder and Longmont. But then that's where this is really interesting is Erie has had a lot of inventory. They've also had a lot of solds, as we'll see coming up. So remember, where folks are shopping, it's not all equal in the inventory. Lafayette and Louisville are still higher than they historically are, but there's still not a ton of inventory. There's still between the two just over 100, 110 houses.
Louisville is one of those big ones where, the Marshall fires had a really big effect on that market, and you're really starting to see that with new builds coming on and some of that stuff getting sold. So more inventory than usual there. But you get over to attached, though, 54% increase year over year. Lots more inventory. The vast majority of that is taking place in Boulder. Mm-hmm. Right? I mean, Boulder has 269 units on the market right now. It's way more than we would normally see. Hell, half the time, the entire market has 269 units. So that number right there is kind of staggering. Like I said, Louisville has more units on the market, largely due to Marshall Fire stuff. But a lot of the markets, sub-markets, month over month changes in attached, a lot's coming off the market, and not a lot of it because it's sold. A lot of it due to withdrawn stuff. So definitely keep your eyes out there when you're working with buyers because there's so much opportunity in the attached market.
So people are still keeping the house on the market and it's attached. Especially there's some great value.
Superior had a ton of inventory, and Superior probably has a lot of opportunity.
And a lot of it's that new build, so there's some great concessions there. Yep. Make sure you secure the financing, of course. Now we're looking at our month supply of inventory. Yeah, we can see it. We came off the top a little bit from August to September. That's in part due because we had more stuff going to contract, which is a great sign. Woohoo! Yeah. But it's also because of some things being withdrawn. We can really see price being a huge factor here. Where's the more expensive areas in Boulder County? And that correlates with their month supply of inventory. Totally. Looking at Boulder, we're at 5.5. Looking over at Superior, 4.5. And then as we get to other parts of the market, they dip into the mid threes. So that's a really big thing to see there is, how much is it changing? Where is it changing? And we can really see where Boulder's been, the leader in inventory because it's the most expensive.
Yep. And then when we look at days in MLS, they're very different between detached and attached. We combined them for that because, month supply is very similar. But this one's pretty interesting. 44 days in MLS. This is trending up for this time of year in the detached market. It feels very seasonal, very normalized. But if we get over to the attached market, it's skyrocketing days in MLS. Yeah. There's just there's not a lot of buyers, and you're really feeling it. So one of the largest days in MLS we've seen in years. Yeah. So that being said, really, really look at opportunity here when you're looking at buyers because there might be some major opportunity in the attached market that they won't see for a long time, right?
Yeah, especially if they're dire for location, right? Now's where you can get location at the price. Yeah, you may not get the product type, but you have a better chance of that right now than you have in pretty much any other time.
Price point wise, detached, what's going on here, Tucker?
Well, let's start at the top and work our way down. We can see 119 available in the 3+ million, and we have 7 sold. It's not that it's a bad luxury market. Right. We just have a ton of inventory. So especially over 2 million or even 1.5 million, there's a lot of opportunity for buyers out there if you have those clients shopping. And that's because there's so much on the market, right? If you look at those numbers, there's just so much on the market versus what's getting sold. And it's still doing well relatively for sales. It's just the inventory change and where that distribution is. the inventory isn't in the lower price points where we have the most number of folks. It's in the super high luxury side.
And in that super high luxury market, there was this much inventory last year.
Yeah.
So don't forget that. This inventory has been high for well over a year.
Yep.
Right?
And then as we get in, as we really start working lower, we can really see where's the buying and selling happen. That 600,000 to 800,000 in the detached market really is the sweet spot. So if you have folks shopping in that area, that is going to be the most competitive area of the price band, right? That 600,000 to 800,000 is going to be your most competitive. You're going to have a little bit stronger offers. Where if you're shopping above that, it starts getting more and more in your client's favor as the buyer, the higher up you go on the price bands. So spend more, save more.
That's right. Okay. And then attached is very different than detached, which is why we broke them out for you. You can see inventory-wise, pretty much everything has more inventory by 50 to 150%. That really starts about 1.5 million, but in all reality, that's kind of the peak of the market in so many ways outside of maybe the city of Boulder. And you're really looking at solds taking place, elevated levels of sales from 500,000 to 600,000. That's the only spot in the entire market. Everything else has had pretty significant decreases in sales. Now, I say that in the 500,000 to 600,000 range because think if you need something in a location that you're really set on, that is probably one of the more affordable locations and areas for that. So like in the city of Boulder or even into like some of the closer outerlying areas, those townhouses, like Lafayette's a good example too, where that kind of catches a lot of those home buyers that kind of need to be in the more affordable price ranges. It's kind of interesting that nothing under that is actually seeing an increase in sales because we've seen a huge drop off in sales in like condos in the city of Boulder. So I think that's skewing some of that data down in the 300-400 range.
Yeah.
So you're basically at this point where lots of opportunity, but lots of hurdles in attached. And it's really, really forcing these sales to drop.
Yeah. Yeah. The HOA dues have been killer to a lot of this the condos for sale. Okay. So month supply of inventory here on our left. Right, that's just looking at the relationship between what's on the market available, what's been going on a contract. Really can see here this is for detached single families, absolute factor of price, as you can see on the left. What's interesting on the right is our days on market are pretty consistent throughout. We're not seeing giant jumps anywhere except for that 2 to 3 million range. We have a lot of inventory in there and just not a lot of sales. So you can see those are sitting a little bit longer. But as we jump back to the left-hand side, we can really just see how much it's changed both year over year and month over month. It's been decreasing, right? Month over month, it's decreasing a little bit, and for a lot of the price bands, and that's a great sign for the month supply of inventory because that just means the market's moving a little faster, and that's with the buyers re-engaging, higher under contract numbers from August to September. So that was a really good sign.
All right, so if we talk about attached, a little different. You can still see the vast majority of the market is about 4 months of inventory. It's very balanced to what I would consider probably in Boulder County to be a little bit more buyer favored. Now, if you get up above 600,000, it is absolutely a buyer's market. Get out there and find something. There's a lot of competition. Now, stuff that's selling is selling still relatively quick, a lot like you saw in detached, even 600,000 to 800,000. It's sold in 33 days on average. So those really great properties, they're selling quick. But if there's a ton of competition, you can see stuff is sitting for 115 days, even at 300,000, right? So there's a lot going on here to unpack, but just understand that if you're working with buyers, there's a lot that's been sitting on the market. They would love to get offers, push them to make offers, even if they might not be really close to asking price, right?
Start the negotiations.
Start negotiations because people I hear all the time are just like, man, I wish somebody would just make an offer, right? At least we go to our clients and start having a conversation. So I think that's a big one. Price-wise, okay, we've talked a lot about what's happening to these markets, but price-wise and detached, how would you unpack this?
So I would say location matters. Your price point matters a lot for what's actually appreciating and not appreciation or going up and down. And then location, right? Look at the areas that have had the most growth, right? Boulder hasn't had a lot of growth.
Boulder's really flat, right?
Boulder's been really flat. Why? Because we're already very expensive. So when there's a harder, slower market, some folks will be entering into the Boulder market, but a lot of folks are going to the L's and the surrounding community.
To the L's. That's a good way to put it, right?
Yeah, to the L's. Louisville, Longmont, Lafayette, the L towns. Of course, Superior, lump them in there as well, and Erie. But we can see a lot more movement over there. So sold prices are moving positively in those submarkets, whereas outside of Boulder, whereas in Boulder, we're kind of shrinking a little bit, and that's also dragged down by just the overall higher price point of our inventory is a big factor there. But then Erie as well also has had some really good value. They have a ton of inventory.
They've had 200 units, and that's exactly why it's stagnated, right? Because when
They
you have
have
so much inventory, there's a lot of competition with not a lot of buyers.
Yeah.
Same thing the Boulder's dealt with.
But yeah, now attached. Do you want to touch attached?
Yeah, we can talk about this a little bit. I think the biggest thing in the attached market is you got to remember that in times where it's a tougher real estate market, detached is always the gold standard in Boulder County, right? Everybody on earth would love to own real estate in Boulder County. So detached single family homes are more likely to stay stable through any market, and they appreciate really great during good markets.
Mm-hmm.
Attached market can be much more volatile, right? So even a condo in Boulder might be decreasing in value right now, right? But that doesn't necessarily mean that it's not going to curve and swing back faster than the other things. So as it has a little bit more volatility to it, you can see pretty much across the county, the attached product has been depreciating just a little bit.
Yeah.
Now, take Louisville with a grain of salt because it's not very much there. Niwot, you might as well just throw the number out altogether because there's not even any sales last month
out there.
Yeah. So basically, like, as a whole, Boulder County's stability is built on detached single-family homes. The attached market's going to go like this, even though it's trending up at all times. So, yes, it's been ugly the last 12 months, but it could be the best buy in Boulder County right now, pending, you get a good HOA and there's a lot that goes into it, right? But
caveats.
There really are, there are a lot of caveats. There's a lot of uphills for them, but I do think that over time, these prices are going to do just like what everything else is going to do, and it's all about.
But really seeing this right now is a great window of opportunity in the attached market for people who are desperate for location.
Yeah, I think it's
right now is the time to get that attached unit and get in the game. So for those people who are younger, house hackers, all that mentality.
Sure.
Right now,
talk about sold for attached first because it's a great example.
And we can see we're down. So our red lines are this year, gray is last year. Last year we still had really good attached sales. This year we're just not, and I think it's also because we have so much more inventory in the detached and just the lower buyer pool.
Totally.
If folks are making moves, they're looking for that detached.
When you got high HOAs that are making it more affordable to move to detached versus attached, and so that's not helping.
No, it's not helping. But if you have folks who want to get in and they're stuck on a price point and location's important, which it should be, attached is a great time to get in right now, just because it's depreciated a bit, so you have some room to get in.
The attached market, 5 months, way accelerated sales compared to last year. The last 4 or so have been about where we were a year ago, so it feels like you're kind of trudging through mud a little bit. The October numbers should be really good because closings are going to be good, right? We saw those elevated numbers in September of under contracts. That's going to turn over to sales. So the last quarter should have more sales.
Yes.
Right? You can very clearly state it. Lower interest rates means more buyers in the marketplace. We're seeing it in the data, so we know that the solds will be increased.
Yeah, and now I know we had that little jump after the initial nice drop we got. Yeah. Things have gone back up with a significant amount.
But at least there's a buzz.
At least there's a buzz, and for the first time in a long time, we're getting positive news from the national side. We're getting positive news.
It's helpful, yeah.
Just getting the regular folks back engaged into the real estate game. So that's a really good sign. Do you want to touch on this one?
Yeah, so lastly, this is our last slide we have for you. The percentage sold price to list price for both detached and attached is pretty similar. It's really dependent on price range, but yet again, last month, very seasonally, we start to trend down this time of year. So, 98% is really no big deal. It's a little bit less than it was a year ago, but so what? I mean, that's okay. We're about 0.5% off, but things are stable. They're just slowing down a little bit. They always do. So this is nothing really to worry about, but it does tell you when you're working with a buyer, go out and negotiate because there are deals to be had. And also like the average home is going for less than asking price.
Yeah.
Even if that asking price, because with this one, this is really taking the under contract sales price and then all the way to sale. So if it was listed at 1.1 million, they did $100,000 price drop to $1 million. You put it under contract at $980,000. That's what this says. That could happen. Right now, it also could have just gone on at $1 million, went under contract at $1 million, and that could be the situation too. Yeah. But 98% is kind of your normal list sale price. Concessions are not included. So all those 2-1 buy downs, all those other things you're working with. We're seeing a lot of
concessions internally.
Yeah, totally. And it could be just it needs a new furnace and they don't have a choice. They're putting it in there, not in this number, right? So this one definitely has more wiggle room. It's probably far more extreme than we show.
Yeah. And don't forget to work with your agents, and really help coach them how to negotiate, what to ask for on those buy downs and those rate cuts.
Remember, they've never been in a market where they've had to negotiate.
Yeah. So their consumers are not as aware of how that works as you are or we are. So remember, really coach them on that because it's a fantastic tool to get folks in homes.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for joining us today. Tucker and Anthony with Land Title. Don't forget, we will absolutely love to work with you. So don't forget about us when you're doing refinances. We do those also.
We're here. We're open for business, and we love to work with quality lenders.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Thanks, everybody.